Jones was 16-27 of 213 before he injured his hamstring, which is, it just, I don't even understand how it happened. This is where I don't get hamstrings. Is like, you would have thought that he would have pulled a hamstring when on that long ass run against the Eagles in Philly, where he tripped. Like, oh, he must have pulled a hamstring, or any other run. And this was like, he's not in full speed. It's a 7-yard gain, and he just came up gimpy. And the broadcasters were mentioning it being possibly like a Willis Reed moment for the Knicks. And he did come back out, and then you could see like he couldn't like, even handing the ball off, he couldn't put any pressure on it. Even the throws that he was trying to make, he couldn't like drive the ball. So, all this talk about there's an outside chance he can play against the Seahawks, that would be shocking in my opinion. And if they try to, and this is where I don't think Joe Judge is that kind of risk taker. I honestly think that he's just not going to roll the dice on this. Yes, it's a conference game. It's not a division game. And he probably has enough confidence in Colt McCoy with more preparation, more first team reps. I mean, he said, that Colt McCoy gives his when he's on the, I guess not the practice unit, scout team going against the first team defense, he gives them fits and problems. So, maybe that's a smokescreen, who knows? But McCoy looked rough. He looked rough and he looked rusty to start off with when he first came in for Jones, and he didn't really start to settle in. He developed a nice little rapport with Shepard, but he didn't really settle in. I mean, 6 of 10, 31 yards. Does not inspire confidence, but maybe when he gets more first team reps, things will change. Jones ranks, this is from PFF, Jones ranks 5th in the NFL in passing yards on throws of 10 plus yards downfield, trailing Rodgers, Wilson, Brady, and Mahomes. I mean, hello. Jones has a 78.8 overall grade, 12th best in the NFL, despite being pressured at a higher rate than any other quarterback. I mean, for anyone who doesn't believe in Daniel Jones or doesn't like Daniel Jones or doesn't think he's a franchise quarterback, what is your reasoning? Is it the turnovers? Is it, what is it? Bobby Skinner from Talking Giants, he charted every Daniel Jones pass in 2019 and 2020 into 2 categories: plays that have two 15-yard or more routes downfield, and plays that don't. And Daniel Jones is considerably better when there's a downfield attack. Among the NFC East teams through 11 weeks, the Giants rank 1st in passing grade and 2nd in receiving grade. That's from PFF. I'd feel a lot better if we weren't going through this next stretch of games, though. It's like if we were just playing average teams, 500 ball clubs or worse, I would feel a lot better about our chances. But also, I don't know that that these teams have faced what we have. Now, take our offense away, or maybe not take our offense away, but if you're able to run the ball, and this was Dave Gettleman's vision, right? And this is kind of what Joe Judge has also kind of reinforced or emphasized. If you can run the ball, then you have play action is way more effective and efficient. So not to say that it almost doesn't matter who's throwing the ball, but it makes it a lot easier on the quarterback. And so I think it's going to, McCoy, if you can get the run game going, the issue with the Seahawks is, we'll get into it, but I don't know that we'll be able to run the ball. Gallman had the Wayne train. Another great game, 24 carries, 94 yards, and a touch, a little less than 4 yards per average, but that's also because he, a lot of goal line situations that took away some, that lowered that. He's the first Giants player with 1 or more rushing touchdowns in 5 straight games since Andre Brown, 3,000 in 2012, 2013. Talked about Ingram, 6 catches, 29 yards, and 9 targets. That's a much better catch percentage than we're used to. So there was a career high. It's his first game of over 70 yards this season. So is this his breakout game? Is this where he finally takes that step forward and becomes what we all thought he would become after seeing, some pretty insane plays earlier on in his career? Is he going to take the next step? Is he going to be averaging more than 70 yards receiving per game? That's the hope. Because if he can, then you've got a pretty nice trio. Or, even you throw Tate into the mix there too. If you can get all 4 of those guys, we keep saying it year after year, if. But if they all start clicking at the right time, you can go on a serious run, as we saw in the 2011 playoffs, or even the 07 playoffs. You have Burris, Toomer, and Smith clicking. And in the 11 playoffs, you had Nix, Cruz, and Manningham clicking. They just get their shit right. Sterling Shepard, another awesome game. 8 targets, 7 catches, 64 yards. First Giants receiver with 6 or more receptions in 5 straight games played since Odell Beckham Jr. in 2018. Golden Tate, 9 targets, 4 catches, 36 yards. We threw you the damn ball. You can't complain about not getting the ball with those numbers. He was getting shit talked and trash talked the entire game by that Alexander dude. What's his name? Mackenzie Alexander or something like that. That guy was in Golden Tate's ear hole the entire time. And, I guess shout out to Tate. He didn't respond and catch a flag. So good for him. Darius Slayton, 2 targets, 0 catches. He's on the injury report this week. I mean, Shep's on the injury report too, but this is what we talk about when we talk about Darius Slayton. He just can disappear sometimes. Only 2 targets. Eesh. And the big miss for him was, and maybe he's the kind of guy that needs to have that first catch to kind of feel comfortable running his routes, because he had that deep shot from Jones that just missed. That is for sure a touchdown if he catches it. Do I think he had the ability to lay out? I don't know. You're running full speed. Does it look like you can lay out when you're running full speed? It went off his fingertips. I think, it's similar to the Evan Ingram drop against the Eagles in Philly. So I think that really maybe threw him off for the rest of the game. But that would have been a big one.